Hello, everyone. We are here celebrating the Filipino American National History Month. The Filipino Americans are the second largest immigrant community of the USA, about 80,000 plus Filipino Americans at New York State alone, and many of them are frontliners. So tonight we will bring you Master Mentoring Series with Masters of Arts, Film, and fashion. And of course, what better way to start the program but with freebies? Our sponsors, New York Life Company and Cigna, partnered to give the families of frontliners, which include the restaurant workers and EMTs who died of COVID 19, a grant of $15,000 plus an additional grant of $60,000 per family to help you. Thank you for your support. All you have to do is log in, apply no other requirement, and this is just not for Filipinos, but to all frontliners who perish due to this COVID 19. So click and apply here. Also, tonight, we are giving away the book ABCs of Investing for Gen XYZ. As we approach the holiday, it's time to rethink your strategies on how to save and grow your money. We will also talk about here the college planning, retirement, investment, and estate planning. And the book is authored by yours truly, your host tonight, Carol Tanhutko. Friends, please log on to eaglecharities.org on our page, Filipino American National History, or FANH. You will find at the end of this program a listing of the events happening today. And here we have the recording, a free recording, ABC of Investing, Series 2, Financial Planning and Investing, a companion video that goes with a free book. And now it's time to give our gratitude to our trustee, the board of director, our co-host tonight, Romulo Aramin. Dr. Romulo Aramin is an art patron at the Mission Board certified physician in adult, child, and adolescent addiction psychiatry, addiction medicine. He is the international liaison and chair of the Miss Republic of the Philippines pageant, a staunch supporter of various charities and LGBTQ IA initiatives. I'm your co-host, Carol Tenhutko, and I would like to present to you Dr. Ram Aramin, a bronze memorabilia of the brushes and the palette, you being our first patron of art for the year and for the many, many years to come. Thank you so much for being in our board of trustees. And now we want to bring to you two very special guests. We want to welcome His Excellency, the Ambassador Enrique Manalo. And second, we have our Deputy Permanent Representative to the UN, Ms. Kira Danganan Asusana.
Thank you very much, Carol. And good evening to our friends here in New York. And good morning to those joining us from Manila through Facebook. I would like to thank Carol for this invitation to join all of you this evening for this great cause. I'm very happy to see a number of familiar faces, having met you when I was still with the Philippine Consulate General in New York, where I served for about 2.5 years. My role this evening is actually to introduce a very important person in our community who has just arrived in New York. But before I do that, please allow me to share a few thoughts on the importance of this event. I'm very happy to support efforts to recognize and honor our Filipino frontline workers whose great work and sacrifice were critical in the response to the COVID-19 pandemic here in the United States and also in many parts of the world. We are all aware that in the pre-COVID world, for over a decade, our Filipino nurses, doctors, and healthcare workers formed the crucial infrastructure of hospitals, clinics, and other healthcare facilities across the globe. Together with 3 million overseas Filipinos, they contribute to sustaining our economy and providing for a secure and comfortable life for their families and communities back home. COVID 19 descended upon humanity without warning and has caused an unprecedented human crisis, one that we have never seen before. The global response sharply put into focus the vital role played by frontliners and essential workers. Across the globe, many Filipinos in these sectors have delivered on their calling with dedication and at great cost, some even sacrificing their lives to battle the disease. I was chargé d'affaires of the Philippine mission to the UN in New York when the city went into lockdown last March. And when the time came for us to mark Philippine Independence Day last June, we felt it fitting and proper to use the occasion to pay a meaningful, important, and timely tribute to Filipino frontliners. Because of restrictions on big gatherings that prevented us from hosting our usual diplomatic reception, I instead sent individual letters to all the ambassadors to the UN and the UN Secretary General, providing them with a video of our kababayans in the front lines in the fight against COVID 19, and inviting them to honor the hard and selfless work of Filipino healthcare workers, first responders, peacekeepers, and others serving in the essential sectors. It was a collaborative salute to the modern day Filipino heroes in the front lines. This evening's event of Eagle Eye Charities Incorporated is driven by the same inspiration to honor our kababayans, but this time through the Philippine masters in film, fashion, and art, which we are very honored to have to meet this evening. It celebrates two important Filipino characteristics, creativity and compassion. And I am therefore very honored to participate in this important event. Now to my real assignment. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to all of you my boss, the permanent representative of the Republic of the Philippines to the United Nations. Before I give the floor over to him, I would like to mention a few highlights of his illustrious career. He is a career Filipino diplomat, having served with the Philippine Foreign Service for over 40 distinguished years. He was Philippine ambassador to the United Kingdom, Ireland, Belgium, and Luxembourg, and the Philippine permanent representative to the UN in Geneva. In the Home Office in Manila, he was Undersecretary for Policy twice, from 2007 and 2010, and then from 2017 to 2020. And then he was appointed Acting Foreign Affairs Minister. He is an experienced hand, I should not say old, experienced hand in multilateral affairs, having chaired many senior officials meetings of ASEAN, including during the chairmanship of the Philippines of the organization in 2017. He also chaired many meetings in the UN on a range of issues and has led the Philippine delegation in a number of multilateral, regional, and bilateral meetings. For his distinguished service in government, he has received not one, but three Philippine Presidential Awards. The Gawad Mabini Award with the rank of Grand Cross or Dakilang Kamanong, the Order of Sikatuna with the rank of Grand Cross or Datu, Gold Distinction, and the Order of Lakandula with the rank of Grand Cross, Bayani. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have the great honor to present the Philippine Permanent Representative of the Philippines to the United Nations in New York, His Excellency Enrique Manalo.
Well, first, thank you very much, Piero, for the welcoming remarks. Good evening and good morning to all, and also to say what a great pleasure it is to be here this evening to speak before you for the first time since my assuming the post of permanent representative to the UN, and simply an honor also to be here and to meet you all. But at any rate, let me first then say on behalf of the permanent mission of the Philippines to the UN, it gives me great pleasure to be with you this evening at this important event, the Filipino-American National History Celebration of Arts, Film, and Fashion. I'd like to thank Ms. Carol Tanhutko, the founder of Eagle Eye Charities Incorporated, for your kind invitation and to allow me to join you this evening on this auspicious occasion. I was greatly impressed in reading about the work of the Eagle Eye Charities Inc., and the Filipino-American community at large for their continued dynamism and innovation in celebrating Philippine talent, artistry, and creativity, as we featured here tonight. The Philippine creativity in art, fashion, and film has certainly been a driving force of our cultural diplomacy, which we implement in the Department of Foreign Affairs, and which we are also doing here in the United Nations. And our collaboration has helped us validate Philippine art and culture. And certainly it's important that our art and culture not be confined to our borders, but it should be a gift to humankind and the international community. But at this particular point in time, when we are facing this pandemic, it really is important that we do not forget the need for a stronger and cohesive community, global community, and national community. And that need is much greater now than ever before. The pandemic has caused major disruptions and in many ways has changed the way that we live. But it has not changed the way that we love. It has not changed the way that we have maintained our Filipino virtues of bayanihan and malasakit to shine through our Filipino essential workers and frontliners across the globe, as was mentioned by DPR Kira a few minutes ago. So in closing, I just want to sincerely congratulate the organizers and featured artists of this event. The work of your hands and your efforts truly give each Filipino, such as myself, great privilege and pride. So maraming salamat po. Mabuhay po kayo and stay safe and be well. And certainly, as I said, I hope to see you soon in person. And I really mean, I hope soon. Thank you very much and good evening and good morning. Thank you.
Before we start the mentoring, we're going to have a quick prayer, right, Father Luke? Let's have a quick blessings before the masters start.
Okay. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, we ask for your blessings upon all of us gathered here today. It's part of Eagle Charities, honoring the frontline workers and all those who have participated in so many ways to the goodness of society. We ask your peace upon each participant and our countries. And we ask all of this in the name of God, our Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank
God
you.
bless you all.
Mang Ato Habulan is a renowned
Yes.
father of social realism, staunch social realist, emerging from the martial law era, right? Mang Ato has a lot of mentees, and in his words, ito sabi niya, all my mentees are conscious of their role as artists. As a storyteller, they have to go beyond the beauty and aesthetics that separate them from the bandwagon effect. So we're going to ask him about this, no? And the lens that they use are wide and multifocus and show the context, the historical milieu, and more importantly, the emotion of the subject. So now, if you press that find out more, you're going to read a lot more about Mang Ato Habulan. But let me invite your attention to one of his works, Ang Lalakas Nito, no? Mang Ato, please naman with us, no? The first time I saw this, I'm a little shocked. I could not even count how many people. Yung pala 72 people right there. And if you look up closely, my gosh, I can see the chiaroscuro in their eyes, in their face. So tell us a little bit more about this 1982 when you did this.
Okay. Una, no, I would like to thank the Eagle Eye Foundation for inviting me. And also, good evening to the Filipinos in the US. And good morning to us Filipinos here in the Philippines. Well, Kagampanes, I would say, has its own life, no? This work is more significant than the creator, than the artist, because it had its own role in history, and it was not planned. It was just in the right place in the right time. I did this in 1982, just before the the height of the
Yung kay
in
Ninoy
19
Aquino, di ba?
yes. Then the exhibit was open in August 16, 1983. So you can see that is maybe several days before Ninoy was assassinated. So it's just very timely uh, that this exhibition went out. No, so during the time there's a clampdown on the media. No, so I don't, all my press releases, all my announcement was really stopped. It did not came out from on the newspaper because of the media
Aspect dito,
clampdown.
sir, ng mga ato. And is there an aspect of your paintings that is anti-government?
Well, you could see nothing. No, you could see it's a usual genre of showing the ordinary Filipino, the peasant and the workers. But it is the time that created that significance. So it was put as a cover of Panorama in 1983. In
Oh.
time of the Long March, that is the same day when the Long March happened, the Long March of Tarlac to Tarmac. So it becomes significant. But what I would always say my student or my mentee, that you know you have to really you have to have that sensitivity of knowing what's happening. You should have that sensitivity to decipher what is happening in the history. And I think, modesty aside, I grasp the time. I grasp the what's happening in our country, and that made the work significant. And that work is like I said, it's beyond me, because it's now I have to give credit also to Singapore National Art Gallery of Singapore, because they resurrected this work.
So
They
it's there
resurrected the
pala.
work.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
this is in the collection of National Art Gallery of Singapore. Uh, it's a bittersweet. I don't know if I'll be happy or sad because it's not in our
In the
country anymore.
Philippines. Yeah.
But you know how they take care of the artworks is really very good,
Oh,
and they lend it to all institutions around Asia and even in Germany. So many uh, art enthusiasts have already shared this artwork.
wow. Tapos yung isa, yung mga team mo, mga ato talagang mga figures, no? I think this was at the time, puro ganito, maraming gumagawa ng ganito, no? Figures.
Well, remember the social realist movement this is not a mainstream movement. Remember, this is the time, the height of abstractionism. Philippines is so much influenced by what's happening in the U.S. And during and the abstract expressionism of de Kooning, uh, Franz Klein, Rothko, is very much influenced our art. No, so even me, I was trained as an abstract artist. So my teacher is a Rothko fanatic. So I imbibed that Rothko. But like I said, you really have to be very. You have to know what's happening in your country, and you cannot ignore it. You cannot ignore it if you're into it, if you're sensitive to it, if you go beyond being a painter and just capture the beauty. You have to be the storyteller. You have to be the chronicler of your time, and you have to be also the conscience of your people. So this is I'm just sensitive to it, and I want to play that role, even though I was really prepared to be, you know, even a portraitist, because my mentor is a graduate in Art Student League. Her teacher is Brackman, so she was my mentor patron. So I
Oh,
was really prepared to be in the mainstream. But what's happening in the 70s, you cannot, the youth. I'm part of that youth, and you have to stand up. You have to be among the people who aspire for the betterment of the
so you have
Filipino
the
people.
opportunity pala to be in the mainstream. Alam niyo mga ato, ang daming, so many artists these days. That's what they want, you know. And
Ah,
there has been a lot of challenges going mainstream. Sometimes you have to make a choice, right? Whether
yes,
you want to
yes,
go
you're right.
mainstream United States or you stay in your country. That's
Do I
very
have
hard.
can I still share some more?
Yes.
Like for example, like I was, my history. I'm from the squatter area in Tondo. I grew up there. And I'm so lucky. I have a patron in the name of Virginia Jacinto, and she helped me, including my teacher, Florencio Concepcion. They helped me to really be, to really pursue my career. The career is different. So I was really trained. I was molded because I have to study Italian, although I didn't. It's so
Oh,
hard to learn about it to prepare me for an Italian scholarship. But I the significance of the time, will you, like I would always tell my student, will you allow that this time just pass by and you're not part of it? And I don't want to miss that opportunity. So that mainstream, I was trained a portraitist. I am in the midst of the diplomatic community, because they are my one of my patron is Toto Saide, who is ambassador to all the cultural hub posts like Paris, Russia, and so on and so forth. But you have to have a choice. Although becoming to be a mainstreamer, it will uplift you to the poverty,
yeah.
But you will be uplifted to a poverty, but you will also be detached to the history. And
Oh,
I say, the artists of the 70s, not only me, are part, our significant contribution, the artists of the 70s, is history that cannot be altered, that cannot be revised,
hmm.
because even if it will not be written in our uh, art history or cultural history, it will be written by our ASEAN counterparts, because we gave all the research were already made.
Yeah. Ito mga ato, this one, that is
Ah,
wonderful outlook. And a lot of people listening to you right now are based here in United States. And
okay.
many times they also ask themselves that same question. I
Oh,
noticed this
okay.
one, by the way, mga ato, this is more of the new works, no? What year is this?
Tama. Yeah, we are already in the guild, Makati Artists Guild. Remember, I after the 1986, I went into teaching, because
How
I
we met
thought
you.
teaching, yeah, I thought teaching would be the best alternative of being an activist. So I became a teacher for 20 years. In
Oh,
20 years, I just did 2 shows. And that includes my teaching career includes the teaching the group of Carol, the Makati Artists Guild. So I thought, I as an artist, it would be a great endeavor. But In the Philippines, it's different. If you teach, they look at you as not an active artist. So, well, in fact, you breathe art, you talk art.
True.
Every single hour, it's all about art. So how would it become that you're not on the mainstream? So I have to go back to a full-time painting, and this is my one of my first painting. This is in the 2005, I think. With we had a show with in SM Mega Mall.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, the guild helped me actually to go back to the mainstream, the Makati Artist Guild, because we have a frequent exhibit,
And
and
we really owe it to you that you uplifted us because we were not full-time artists, but because of you,
mm.
I can't believe it, nakakabenta kami.
Well, one of my advocacy is really number one, to democratize art. Art can be experienced by everybody. Art can be practiced by anybody. We just have to go back to our culture where art is for everybody. So one of my advocacy is democratization of art, not only in terms of the producer, meaning the artist. Artist can everybody can go into to the mainstream, and also how to consume art. That's why I organized the Papilismo exhibit. Papilismo is, working on, because I've been working to in oil and big works. These are very big works like this. Pagbabalik Tanaw, this is a big works. So these are big works. So I said, let's shift to a more democratic, to a more affordable, to a more easy to execute. Because if you are uh, if you have a work, you cannot do this kind of work, this big works, because you cannot just leave that artwork and go to work, because you need.
Mga ato, you would agree na we can be successful artists too, even if we do some other work, no?
I
Pwede
I,
pala yun.
I in the Philippines it's quite hard,
Oh.
but in my experience in Japan, a lot of very very popular, very uh, significant artists have their own work. So in the Philippines, you have to be a full-time artist to be in the radar of
Mm,
collector. Because in the Philippines, success equals collector, equals
okay.
market.
True, true.
I don't think that's true, because eventually history would be the one to assess us if you are a significant artist or not. History will tell us if you have contributed to art or not. So I would say, um, one of my that advocacy is to really uh, teach more artists, teach enthusiasts, teach collector that artist is always beyond beauty.
Beyond the
Art is always
aesthetics, no?
beyond beauty, beyond aesthetic, beyond
Beautiful.
aesthetic. Beyond aesthetic. And what is more important to me as an artist, as a teacher, is the narrative, the narrative of your art. So if we speak of the narrative, I would always have a bias to figuration, of course, because you cannot. It's so hard to tell a story if there's no figure, it's no form, non-objective.
Thank you so much for reminding us about that it's the
Oh,
narrative beyond aesthetics because for a while
yeah.
napako kami sa aesthetics, no? Pero after
Mm.
I read all the curation of your work, and ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the web page of Eagle Charities / Renato Habulan, he has his own page here. We uploaded in the photo gallery a curated pieces where his
Mm.
thoughts are into in these pieces. And when I was reading this, I suddenly remembered everything that you were teaching in the past. The difference that now that you're not here, nobody's teaching me, and I just suddenly remembered all of this. So we're very
Thank you.
grateful. So,
Thank
by
you.
the way, Mang Ato, itong last piece na ito, is this
Ah,
politically, Would it,
this is a commission work from Singapore, from National Gallery of Singapore, wherein we have to, because remember all the murals again, democratization is also to the practice of collaboration. This is a collaborative work that we've been doing in the 70s. And those collaborative murals will, in the usual thing that we'll do, we unfold it in the rallies in the
yeah,
70s. So but before we can open it, it will be confiscated. So not one survived compared to other countries, compared to other countries, because remember 70s, the spirit of the 70s happened all over, even in Japan, in Thailand, in Indonesia. But our counterparts in other countries, especially the ASEAN, there are a lot of murals that survive. In our case, nothing, no artwork survived, no artwork from the 70s survived. So we have to recreate. We have to recreate a mural, and it was commissioned by Singapore, and now it's hanging in Singapore Art Museum. One of the most significant work, I think, Carol, I want to show the haplit,
ah,
yung parang retablo. Yeah, susunod dito. Haplit, go. Susunod after the mural. After the mural. Go up. I think go down.
yeah, I think,
It's in the lower portion. It's in the lower portion. Haplit.
ah,
The shape canvas. That's it. That's it. Haplit. That's
yeah,
it. Haplit is one of my significant artworks. It's now with Ateneo. Not that one,
The
Carol.
one almost like a
The
triptych.
mural. Yeah, the triptych. Actually, it's a triptych. I just want to explain
okay,
the
okay, okay.
aesthetic. Yeah. Not that one. The other one. Yung
Ito,
matulis yung yan, the
yeah,
retablo. Oo.
Yeah.
On the technical part, during that time, one of our aspiration is to capture the Filipino aesthetic or the Filipino identity. That is remember, I've been telling you that before us, our predecessors are all abstractionists, non-objective, to the point that there's no more form and there's no more form. That's the height of non-objective art or abstraction. So we came out from that era. So how will you introduce your figurative work? How will you introduce this kind of work? So our philosophy is to create a national identity. And how will you create a national identity is to go back to history. And how do you call that? Appropriated. I appropriated an art which is retablo.
yeah,
Remember, we are very familiar with retablo. This is the antique altar of the
yeah,
Filipinos.
yeah.
So I appropriate the retablo. That's why it's triptych. Then I also
Ganda.
try to appropriate the Gothic, no? The
Yes, yes,
Byzantine,
yes.
yung patulis, di ba? Going up. But I put the contemporary narrative of the Filipino during that time. I'm talking about what I experienced. I don't know with other people. So this is the experience. Haplit was it's like the whip or the violence that we my age really experience everything. My age. You are younger than me, so I don't know. So this is really how
The
it is.
challenge,
But
artist, ha? Ito ang
mm,
project nyo, haplit, something like that.
because this is really Filipino. Although I use the formalistic form of the West, which is oil
Yeah,
and also a wall-bound painting, but retablo is ours.
this one,
Retablo, and
true,
also
true.
oh, not only the retablo, but also to me, a Filipino art should be narrative. That separate us from the West. The West now, the contemporary, consider their art as an object. So I want to bear away to that.
Ay,
To
salamat
them,
naman.
art is object, objectivity,
Yeah,
object, materiality. Filipinos should pursue telling a story. Like you said, the frontliners, these are stories. You know the Filipinos abroad, and one of my I want to also pursue, if you are in the US, is the third culture kid. The Filipinos that will the sons and daughters of the Filipino are the third culture kid. They have a host culture. They speak maybe three languages, two languages, and they go back. They will be the future of the Filipinos, the third culture kids. So to my kababayan, really, let your kids pursue art, and we are the great ambassador of our country. Being an artist, like all my paintings, they're already ambassador of the Filipinos,
that's so beautiful.
even without me.
Eto, tingnan niyo si Mang Ato dito, nagpi-plenaire. I think he was like in his 20s here in this picture.
I am the mount.
Yeah,
I am the mountain.
yeah.
That is what I want to share to the artist, that do not be boxed in. I'm sorry to be to be hindi ako sermon or but I'm just giving some thoughts. I don't want to be boxed in a studio just producing art. Artists are not just created to paint or to produce art. We can be teacher, we can even be a healer. So, but before that, we have to heal ourselves. So I really go in the mountain, bring my student.
Agree kami
I
sa'yo dyan. Maraming
uh,
masters dito, agree lahat sa'yo dyan. Mga plenaire
uh,
masters to mga
uh,
to.
because you need to experience that romanticism in art. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. If you just paint and answer the commission, answer all the exhibit, you have to energize. Parang kukuha ka ng energy sa kapaligiran mo. And the best way is to this romantic feeling. And I think I salute
Well, siguro,
or
we will have more of this kwentuhan. Sarap-sarap
sige
kausap
sige.
ni Mang Ato, grabe. Well, pag nandiyan kami sa Philippines, wow. So, guys, I invite you to go through the page of Mang Ato here, yung mga recent exhibit niya, papelismo. At saka, this is carefully curated. Oh, may mga nakasulat dito. Pag nabasa niyo yan, you will change your mind about what you're doing. So, this is a nice segue. Now we want to welcome another master, si Sir Nemi. And I want to, are you there, Sir Nemi? Ayan, papakita ko naman. Halos ang dami yung similarity, no? Nemi here, or we call him Nemi Randa also, no, for short. We pick here something that is related to 500 years of history. Wow. This is 500 years of history depicted in these murals. And this was a project for the Supreme Court of the Philippines. So, sir, go ahead and help us with this. You're looking at 500 years of history that he painted for the Supreme Court of the Philippines.
Hello, everybody. Good day to all of you, and it's nice to be back and be part of this meeting. And I really appreciate that we are still in the art scene and doing our work with this, even with this pandemic, no? So what you see here are a watercolor study supposed to be for the mural for the our Supreme Court. What you see here at the first picture is the pre-Spanish period. So uh, we have already our own justice system even before the coming of the Spaniards in the Philippines. Our forefathers have already our own system of government and our own system of justice system. So this is the pre-Spanish period. So can you go up and go to the next?
Yeah, so
Yes.
ito yung Spanish period, ito.
So yeah, that is the Spanish period, the coming of Magellan to the Philippines, and please go up. Yes, yes, that's it. No, so
Ito na, Amerikano.
the 500, almost 300, how many years of Japan of Spanish occupation here in the Philippines. So this is more of the American regime, the American occupation. So what you see here are the time when Quezon was the first president of the Commonwealth.
Can you
Yes.
point to us, Sir Nemi? I remember you mentioned that you were inspired by the three Franciscos, no? And you kind of incorporated them into this in these murals. So you were talking about
Yes, yes, yes.
coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, when I was about 4 years old, 5 years old, there was in Angono there was no other system of pastime except comics, no, and comics was then very popular. I was really engrossed with one illustrator that I used to really look every now and then on his illustrations, and lately that I have known that he was Francisco Coching. Then when I was probably in my 10 years old, I was already introduced to Botong Francisco, our townmate and muralist. So my father and Botong were close together. They were bought into scouting, robber scouting, and I used to tag along with them on a camping spree inside and out of Angono. So I would see Botong doing on the spot uh, uh, painting outdoor, no? So I would see him that way. And these two Franciscos became my inspiration, being both very good in figurative drawing and painting, no? So later on in my early years of my career, I was lucky to get along and know Francisco Manyosa, the architect, and all of them were my idols, and all of them became national artists. So my high appreciation for these three really were part of my development as an artist. And so in my early years, when I was a student in college at the University of Santo Tomas, so I was already really good in figure drawing, because even in my elementary and high school, I used to practice every day drawing figures. I have this attitude of wherever I go, I have a sketch pad and drawing charcoal pencil in my bag, no? So whenever I to have to sit, it I have to take out my drawing sketchbook and do some drawing. So I have this attitude of being bored doing nothing. No, I have to really do something. I easily get bored doing nothing. So I have to, that becomes my everyday activity. So I have to finish a drawing each day. That's what I do every day. So
Ito mga to, imagination ba ito? Yung mga figures na that you did
all
here?
all of them are product of imagination. No?
Wow.
I never use photographs in my work. No, I try to the way I do it. No, you really have to be good in drawing figure. The way you do it, you have to really memorize the anatomy of the human form. You have to draw them in many angles and try to put that in your imagination. So it's like memorizing a poem.
Oh my
You
God.
have to do it, recite it all over again to memorize it, so that when you do it, you can do it without a model. So I have, and it's difficult for me. I don't know. I find it hard to copy from a photograph.
Oh,
It's like you are jailed in one frame, and you have to follow a system.
mhm.
It's better for me to express myself, my feelings, my thoughts, my emotion into the canvas, all without a string attached or without using any form of model. So it has been my practice for almost 50 years of my artistic career.
Oh
You
my.
know, I was a graduate of fine arts in 1970, and by the time I graduate, I was already in doing a lot of artistic work. You know, I was not just a painter. I started as a sculptor. Many do not know this, but my first exposure to the art scene is doing concrete sculpture. I was the one who introduced concrete sculpture in Angono. And if you
Oh,
visit Angono today, Angono it's like a museum uh, by the whole of Angono is like an open field museum, because murals of uh, are there all over the streets of Angono. So
wow.
what you see here is one of the mural I did for the Ortigas and Company. So it's at the Ortigas Park, you know, at the Ortigas Center. So I did in 19, the biggest mural I did was in 1974. I was barely 25 years old, but it was yet the biggest mural I did in my lifetime. The history of the Philippine Army.
Oh,
Uh, that's about 2 meters by 175 meters. No, and
ito
this
iba
one
to, no? Iba naman to,
it,
Battle of Layok to.
that's the Battle of Layak, the defenders of Bataan. That's at
Mhm.
Dinalupihan
Mhm.
along the rotunda there. No,
Uh-huh.
so I did a lot of monuments around the country. No, that's that's why I have been really very busy in the 70s and 80s doing more of sculptural works. That's the reason why my painting exhibits came late, only in 1979, where after 10 years of my years after graduation, did I have my first solo exhibit at the Hidalgo Gallery in 1979.
Wow.
But even in my paintings and sculptures, I did a lot of uh, historical subjects, no? And like Ato, we have one thing in common. Probably we are historians in our
Mhm.
lifetime. And you would see that in 1986, I was the only one who made a first solo exhibit of EDSA Revolution.
Oh my.
The whole, because I was there at EDSA in 1986. I was there for 4 days, and I was doing only sketching for that days that I was there. No, so I have to keep myself busy doing something just para hindi ako naiinip just watching people. But by watching people, I do some sketch of them
Oh,
already.
God.
And of course, the whole year of 1986, I dedicate myself painting what I have observed, what I have seen at EDSA. So I have made about more than 50 paintings in 2 years, 1986 and 1987. And I was able to showcase them in Malacanang during the first anniversary. And the whole collection was bought by San Miguel Corporation.
Mm.
And supposed to be that collection should have a museum, a place at the airport, because the theme of my series of work was Tarmac to EDSA, from the
Oh.
time Ninoy was assassinated to EDSA Revolution. That's it. That's the content.
How about
But
ito? Nasaan ito, sir? Itong mga trabaho mo. This 500
this
years history, where are they?
this still kept with us, no, and hindi kasi ito supposed to be. This eight mural was a product of the competition
Ah,
that the Supreme Court did in 1998. No, it was supposed to be as a centenary of the Philippines, and supposed to be the grand prize. They have this competition, which I got the grand prize,
wow.
and the grand prize winner should be given that opportunity to paint the eighth mural for the Supreme Court.
Oh my God.
And unluckily, sad that they said they cannot continue the mural because the fund was already consumed.
Oh,
So this was supposed to be funded by the Centennial Fund, no? But they said the fund was already consumed and they have no money. So it's still kept with us, and we still own that study of the mural.
oh, well, at least, no, meron pa. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you also. Let's do a quick visit of his home.
Yeah.
Ito mga sketches mo to, no? But yan ang
Yeah.
Nemiranda home. Yan ang bahay kubo ni Sir Nemi.
You
May
know,
mga puno ng sculpture.
that's what I got from learned from architect Bobby Manyo. Sabi niya sa akin, the Filipinos should look back to the bahay kubo. This is the kind of house that we needed dahil ang environment natin, we are a tropical country, mainit. We should not copy what the Western architecture because iba yung weather natin. So our house should be wide open. Our house should have a high ceiling so that air can come in, light can come in. And I think he was right. And, even as a child, I love to live in a bahay kubo.
Is
That's
this your
my,
family, Sir Nemi?
yeah, that's my family. That's a long time ago because all my children are grown up already. I have apos already. I have 8 apos already.
Ayun, yung bahay
Yeah.
kubo. So,
Yeah.
ayan, welcome home to the bahay kubo of Nemi. Pero syempre, meron din siyang art camp. Meron din
Yeah.
siyang mentees like Mang Ato,
Mm,
like Manny.
mm, mm,
And please visit his page here because there's so much here in this page, And
mm.
if you have questions, let us know. Text us your questions, especially those artists who have been watching. But this 500 years history, it's so fantastic. I have to put it here para, balik-balikan ninyo.
Okay, well, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our third master. Emmanuel, or what we call Manny Garibay, was born in Cotabato in 1962, and he is known for his expressionist figurative style with a keen social and political consciousness. He completed his fine arts degree at the University of the Philippines in 1985 and was part of the art group called Artista ng Bayan. He became a full-time artist in 1990, and 2 years later pursued his studies at the Union Theological Seminary, completing a Master of Divinity in 1995. We may conclude that this background evidences itself in his subsequent activities. While he is a prolific and internationally established painter, he has led art projects with advocacies to include Tutok Karapatan and ang Paghilom Arts Festival. He is currently the chairman of Artletics, a non-stock nonprofit organization empowering young artists to transform communities through art education. Our third master believes that art can be an effective medium for awakening consciousness, and in so doing can help people pull themselves out of their despondency and feeling of powerlessness to bring about empowered change. So it is my pleasure to give to you Emmanuel Manny Garibay.
I think there's a tendency in the art community to be not so aware about how art actually creates consciousness, culture, civilizations, ganon. That's why it's very important for us to do a look back into art history. And unfortunately, most of the materials on art history basically focuses on Western art history. But on that basis, you can tell how art was very much instrumental in shaping worldviews, and fortifying ideologies. So if you analyze through time, art has been used by those in power in order to prop themselves up in power and perpetuate an ideology that supports their position and the continued dynasty of their families in position. So it can be the church, it can be kings, and now the state has taken over, and ultimately it is now the big businesses who have taken over. So the scenario is like that, and all throughout, art has been extensively employed in creating worldviews that support a system or a social order. So I don't know how, that sounds rather abstracted, no? Pero I don't think we have enough time to discuss the details.
Well, it's nice to listen to the words, pero syempre, people who are listening to you will start clamoring for more. Kasi parang highfalutin masyado.
Ganun ba? Sorry. Well, siguro, one example I could cite, siguro, let's look back to our own history. Very recent history. Kung maalala nyo, when Marcos was re-elected, he ran against an obscure guy named, I think, Tolentino. And when he was, it was during, like sometime during the martial law, or more accurately, martial law has been lifted by the time. When he was being inaugurated as the president, Kuledesma was singing "Ako ay Pilipino." But to those who are familiar with the melody is actually coming from a song that goes like, "To God be the glory." So ibig sabihin, it was a subtle way of appropriating some kind of divinity unto himself, which is a ploy that is used by many of the rulers in the past. No, they appropriate some kind of divinity unto themselves. Emperors have done that. Kings have done that. Even Napoleon have done that. No, he placed the crown onto himself, took it from the Pope. Yung ganon. So that's why all I'm emphasizing here is the need for artists to be deeply entrenched into the history, not just history, but art history. So you learn more about the development, the evolution of ideas through art history. It tells you a more complete story than just memorizing dates, names, and places or events. So that's one case, no? So in this case, in reference to Marcos, he used both music and the visual arts. Yung gumawa ng posters niya were done by really famous artists, no? And they were very effective. No? Ang galing-galing. But unfortunately, he was not popular anymore at the time. So people were kind of tired of his rule. So eventually, he was ousted. But that's a different story na.
Yeah. Itong series na to, parang this reminds me of the Paco Park yung mga nicho doon, yung mga crypt.
Yeah. This one, can you scroll it up a bit? Yung nasa taas pa. No, the other one. Yeah. Ayan, yan. Oops, nawala. Can you, yan, medyo malikot
Ito.
No, not that one. The one
isa.
The one with the dodo.
That one.
Yan.
Yung sa
Tatlo lang sila.
Well, they're basically dealing with the same themes, no?
Here's one. That is that.
No, the one with the jester with a bird. Yeah, that one.
Ito.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a bird on his hand, and then parang meron siyang laser gun na hawak-hawak aimed at the bird.
Oh, yeah.
So that's an extinct bird, by the way. It's a dodo, no? And then to the lower corner is a symbolism of the dying representation of Western civilization. So basically, it's a dark, ominous work that talks about the inevitable demise of the human race because of our excesses and all that. Yung ganon na. So in the background is the ruins of the Colosseum in Rome. No? So these are all metaphors of Western civilization. Wow. And the title is Tanghal. So it's a performance. Parang ganon. So it's the last performance, something like that. And this was painted very recently. So if you notice, there's this guy with a mask on, which is like a plague doctor. No? So incidentally, I did several works representing a plague doctor even before the COVID-19 broke out. So I find that very interesting because I've been using this image, like even 2 years ago. So medyo,
And I saw your drawing pad. You make a lot of sketches muna, no? Before you execute them into paintings like this. Imagination ito, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
this imagination, wala kang model.
I'm medyo tamad ako. I'm lazy about looking for models and, going through all that process, making them pose. It's really out of laziness that I resort to relying more on my drawings. Yung ganon. So, I mean, it's laziness and impulsiveness. Like I'm too impatient to follow a more methodical system.
Oh my God. And ito, I saw this actually nung March. I saw it, sa art fair.
That one. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this one.
Well, what about it?
Anong bridge yan?
That's the bridge. Well, I don't know the name of the bridge. I think that's Quirino Bridge. It's the one that connects Loton to Quiapo.
It's in Manila. Oh,
It's
wow.
in Manila.
I was
So that's
thinking oh, parang European.
so well, many of the structures in Manila are based on designs from Europe naman, no? Especially when this bridge was done. I think I think it has some neoclassical features in it. So if you notice, most of the public buildings done during the early 20th century in Manila were neoclassical buildings. No?
Ano yung significance nung I noticed this a lot in your paintings, yung walang bibig.
Well, it can connote a lot of things,
I noticed it
silence.
a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, right. Parang it's my way of saying that for most part we have been kept silenced, repressed. Or that inability to articulate and enunciate thought, no? Something that is not fully formed. Something always gets in the way of being able to articulate our sentiments, our thoughts, our feelings about our situation.
Ito may kalabaw pa siya. Oh. He's very Filipino. Pero ibang klase.
Yung kalabaw, yeah, exactly. It symbolizes the yung Pilipinas as a nation.
Thank you so much. I wish we need to do separate mentoring para, para busog na busog yung mga puso namin.
Sige. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So just stand by as I welcome the master portraiture himself, Florentino June Paz. June Paz, as a master artist, he's a consistent winner at major competitions, no? GSIS, Martino Abellana, Banco Central. And here's the thing. He competes in the mentor category. So he got the first prize at he's the first prize at the Fernando Amorsolo painting competition regional, and then he got a grand prize again, first prize winner, the Fernando Amorsolo painting, which is national level. So check that out, and let's take a look here. All right, so this is one of his works, and actually the beauty of this kaya nilagay ko, he started from taking a picture of Cardinal Feloni. This is in Milan. So he started with pictures, and then pinakita niya rito the gradual. You see how drawing muna. Can you tell us about your process, please? Ibang klase process niya eh.
Yes, ma'am. I first I'm doing a portrait. I do pictorial first with the clients because the important for me is to get specific lightings, angles, and overall photo I want to paint. So here, I traveled to Vatican to have a photo shoot with Cardinal Filoni. That's area in Vatican.
Wow. The Vatican to. Tingnan mo yung gradual. And I noticed, which I'm gonna show you later, the rest of his works, there's always something behind, like a sculpture, or a figurine right behind the image. I noticed that with most of your portraits.
Yes, I use that one, ma'am, in the background.
Oh. Now, before I show the rest of his works, I would like to invite everyone to take a look. I featured here, and kapwa mo Cebuano to, there's a competition called Bayani Sugbuanon Portrait Competition. And the reason I'm showing this, these are our boys of Eagle Eye Charities. Number 1, Ariel Caratao. Is he here? I don't think he signed, Ariel Caratao. So the first place is Ariel. He painted a picture of President Sergio Osmeña. When he showed me the black and white, I'm so shocked at how it turned out because it was all based on a black and white photo. And then see second place, si Maria Cabigon. I think June Anga is with us there.
John
Say something, June, if you're here. And finally, ang third place, si Randy, our very own Randy Plarisan, Don Vicente Soto. But please tell us more about, if you're the judge, what is it in this portraiture? Why these three stand out? Lalo na to, number 1 ito.
Yes, ma'am. I really like this piece, ma'am, because nakita na naman natin na yung texture niya, yung paghago niya ng trabaho niya, it's quite detailed doon sa mukha niya. Di ba?
Yeah, the wrinkles and the eyes, no?
Yes,
Wow.
the wrinkles. And the values of the portrait.
So when you create portrait, itong mga ganito, I notice itong mga to, you don't really give any attention to this, ano? Yung mga sides na yan.
Yes.
Wow. And then
Because
itong
focuses on the face.
si Manding Karya. Is June Anga there? Is he?
June Anga.
Are you here, June? You just say something if you're here. You can, contribute to this kasi gawa mo to eh. So ito raw she's a journalist, no? Manding Karya. Pero June, I noticed hindi ba masyadong bright yata yung white dito or this is yung
Because
values,
of lighting siguro, ma'am.
Ha? Parang masyadong bright, no? Or picture lang siguro yun?
Sa picture lang yan, ma'am.
Okay. Pero grabe rin, no? And then ito, grabe, nakita ko yung black and white nito. I'm so shocked to see how this turned out. By Randy, our very own Randy Plarisan. So friends, if you go to our homepage of eaglecharities.org, all these artists are selling their items really, really low. So please visit our homepage. Later on, there are about 100 realism works of these top artists from Cebu and Manila. Now, eto na, balik tayo dito sa icons ni June Impas. Ito yung sabi ko, Cardinal Tagle. Okay, so you have those background, no, Santo Niño.
Mm-hmm.
And how detailed the clothing. So friends, the Christmas is almost around. I think when you talk of portraiture, you're talking about legacy. To me, this is something that you should invest in because it will go on to the next apo or future apo that you'll never meet them, but your portrait will be there for them. When you do this kind of thing, do you do the canvas yourself? Kasi you think of 100 years, di ba? This portrait should last long enough, correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's kailangan professional canvas.
So can you just give us some tip? Ano yung professional canvas? Kung minsan tumitingin-tingin din kami dito eh.
Karamihan sa mga canvas, ma'am, nasa labas lang yung pinturahan lang ng mga latex, gano'n.
Yeah, na anong weight? Kasi dito nakakabili kami ng mga canvas eh. Ano ang prescribed weight mo sa mga portraiture para tumagal?
Kailangan yung coated, ma'am, yung coated na canvas. Yung nasa mga ano ba yun, yung hindi sa mga tabi-tabi lang makuha mo yung mga canvas.
Nako, kailangan pasadya pa talaga when you do portraits like this because this has to last many, many years. It has to last longer than a lifetime, I would say. Look at this. Oh, di ba? Ay, etong favorite ko, sa totoo lang.
That's former Chief Justice Lucas Birsamin.
Bersamin, yes. And look at that, yung ano sa likod niya. Wow, fantastic. Grabe. Yan ang realism talaga, no? You're looking at the person and the portrait. And these are the portraitures with dogs.
Yes, that's Direk Louie Ignacio.
Sino to?
Si Direk Louie Ignacio.
Louis Ignacio. Okay.
Yes.
Ito, pamilya, oh my golly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Tan family.
So at this point, I want to bring up our the only sculptor in the group from a family of farmers. He learned picking his own wood from his dad. And actually, he's also a professor of history. Okay, sculpture.
We are now in this.
This is
Yes.
so beautiful, Yuji. Can you tell us something? Ito pa, yung process nito. I'm so interested how you did this jellyfish. Look at that. Kahoy ba lahat yan?
It's a mixed media. Basically, wood. Kasi my base medium is wood, but I also include. I really like experimenting material, so I experimented with resin, cement, and other fibers that are usually discarded and not into use. I incorporated into my sculpture because wood. Usually, I use salvage wood. Salvage wood and reclaimed wood is becoming very scarce. So I wanted to incorporate other materials. So I tried it into an assembly art into this jellyfish sculpture. Basically, I call it flow because during these pandemic times, like the jellyfish is it doesn't it doesn't go against the current, just flow with the current. So the rough current, the rough waves will soon pass. It's like something it reminds us. It reminds people that what is happening right now will pass, in which history has told us that all this kind of thing, all pandemic will soon pass. We just have to wait. And we must be creative in waiting. We must do something in waiting to go back to our normal life. So that was how the jellyfish sculpture came about. It inspired me creating something that soon enough everything will be okay.
How big is this? How big is this, Yuji?
Basically, that's almost 3 feet by 4 feet. So it's something like
wow, parang yung painting na
by 46, 32 by 46. Then the thickness is 10 inches, the depth. So it's very big. It's quite heavy, but you can hang it anywhere. It's very stable and solid.
So guys, yung mga merong beach houses, that's the perfect one, di ba? You know, I'm attracted dito sa buhok nito. Ano ba to, metal?
Yes, it's metal.
Oh.
And I said before I was using basically wood, but I'm now trying to incorporate new material. So basically, this wood is I got this wood. It's discarded. Supposedly, it should be turned into charcoal because sometimes I salvage wood from charcoal pits, yung gawaan ng uling in Far-Flung province in southern Tagalog. Kasi sila yung kumukuha ng mga tira-tira. Kinukuha nila, gagawin nilang uling. So I tried to salvage this when I see something from that medium because I believe that everything is very beautiful na. Maganda na talaga yan. Ang artist, he tried to create something. Parang gusto niyang palabasin. Ano ba yung nakikita ng art? Ano yung beauty nakikita niya? He just enhanced it. So when I pick up this wood, I saw na, uy, I saw an image of two-person in this wood. So I just carve it, something like a free flow carving, uh, and created it. Then later on, I have this copper wires. Usually, the metal sculptures I make puro mga straight hair. Unat ang mga buhok. Uh, Seasoned masters, known sculptors, puro mga unat ang buhok. So I make it a twist. I make it a kulot. Kasi basically, Filipinos really are not really straight hair. There are wavy hair, curly hair. So kinuha ko kulot. So I
Did
just
you ano?
incorporated
Did
that.
you burn the wood? Why is it itim-itim?
No, no,
Burn this?
no. Basically, that is an Indian walnut. That is
Ah,
called here akle. The reason why it is like a grain na itim-itim. I always try. I always wanted my sculpture now to capture yung light and shade. Because in painting, you can capture light and shade. You can do it. So it really boggles my mind. How can I do it in my sculpture? How can I capture the light, the natural light and shade of this wood grain and sculpt it so that my sculpture will have that kind of effect. It has its own natural light and shade. Even in a certain corner, certain area, you'll see there's a a changing tone. So I captured it in every sculpture I made. I'm very particular with the wood grain, the color hue, and that's where I start carving.
and hindi ba you mentioned, I think you accept young apprentice, ano? Kasi this is a very rare talent. Minana niya pa to sa dad niya eh. But you made it even, you took it like many steps ahead by creating it into a different kind of art, no? Kaya I think you were talking about you should start getting some apprentice, young apprentice. Yung mga
Yeah.
bata dyan,
Actually, I
matuto.
was really thinking about to get an apprentice na eh.
At
And
yung mga gusto matuto, would you teach them to
of course, I will teach it because I don't want the art of carving to be lost. The how you see everything. I want to pass this eh. Hindi kasi pwedeng, kumbaga, paunti na ng paunti ang mga what we call this master carpenters, master woodworkers. Konti na yan eh. The reason why I learned because ang hirap maghanap. So the reason why I revived my woodworking skills because it's very difficult to find good woodworkers now. Ang hirap na. So even if you go to the wood carving capital ng Paete, konting-konti na lang. Nasaan sila? They're in Australia, they are in New Zealand, they are in Italy. Doon na sila nagtatrabaho because they're given, they're given something I heard. Ang sweldo nila umaabot ng 250,000 pesos a month just to be a woodworker abroad. Kaya nauubos sila rito sa
yeah, it's a big job. I love this dragonfly. Did you know, guys, that this dragonfly on top? I saw the picture of that when he was doing this. It's a no. These are two dragonflies love making. Nakita ko yung picture niyan eh. Ginawa niyan totem. Yan ba yung dadalhin mo rito sa US?
Yes, actually, I really wanted to bring it.
Exhibit natin yan dito.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have the place for me. Guys, yung mga gustong sumama by July, I reserve the Philippine Center. So for Eagle Eye Charities. And then next year, again, October, let's do it live. Exhibition. And this time, we will be targeting Philippine Center and United Nations. Yung sa Philippine Mission, there's a group there na there's a way that we could join the exhibit, especially during the Filipino-American National History Month in October. So think about July and October. October is a wonderful time to be here in New York because it's autumn. So maybe you might like to think about October and we can plan something big here. Kaya gusto ko makilala nyo sila mga ambassador, di ba? Kaya ayan. Well, okay. So for more of Yuji's, is there anything else you want to add, Yuji?
Yes, yes. Can I promote something?
Sure.
Uh-huh. This is my new series, the functional art, because I
Ooh.
started. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started as a functional artist. This is one of them. I'm making 12. This will be exhibited in University of the Philippines in Los Baños. So I have 12 of these. Basically, I'm trying to capture this yung wood inlay. So this is functional. You can use it as a cheese board, sushi board, kneading dough board. So I have different sizes of this. So this will be exhibited. This one is a still life with a called it an optical illusion. It's an artwork, we can call it a psychological art. So now I'm doing psychological art.
Wow.
So basically, most of my works now that I'm doing is a series of psychological art.
Whoa.
Here. I
Wow.
hope some of here, it will be on next month. I hope some here in Manila will visit the exhibit.
All right, so i-post natin yan sa website so friends can, friends can see. And please visit our website because we keep on updating it. And thank you so much, Professor Yuji. He's a professor of
Thank you very much.
history. Yeah. So at this point, we're going to move to a different segment, which is now the film, Konting Action. We cannot leave the National History Month without talking of our World War II forgotten heroes. Buti na lang, swerte ko because my dad was able to, he was one of those who was recognized. So let me share the film. I mean the website because naka-upload na dito. Okay, so I hope everybody can see this. All right. Also, I want to mention the field vet rep, which is headed by General Tony Taguba, is the organization that has been awarding the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal. And if you want to know the history, from the Japanese time to the Commonwealth, it's here. Just play this. It's a little bit long, so I'm going to leave that up to you. But I want to mention that if you know of somebody who was a guerrilla, even though wala na siya, they still get the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal. And this is how it looks like. Because I got two of these. One for my dad. Ayan si Portia, yung ating isang trustee, yung anak ko. And one for my uncle. Ito si General Tony Taguba. And that's done here every October also. So si Ruby, one of our trustees, Ruby, the father was in the military. So I told her, ayan. So nung na-award ako, dalawa yung nakuha ko for my dad and my uncle. That's General Tony Taguba. You know his story, no? Please read. I wrote about the World War II and the incident about Tony Taguba, when he left the job, what transpired at that time, yung Abu Ghraib prison. If you are following the stories here in United States, he is a very well-known general, the only Filipino general. Pero, ayun, nasibak siya. And the story is here. I wrote also something about him. So please, you can link that, connect that, and read the story. Now, I want to bring in our friend. Lucky Guillermo. You know, Lucky, somebody knows you, oh, nanonood dito sa online natin. Si Renato Tolentino, Babes Tolentino. Itong kaibigan nating magaling tumugtog, MOBB band. Kumusta daw? So, Manila, 1945. Let me just give you a little bit background of Lucky, no? He's from Ilocos Norte and the son of World War II guerrilla Antonio Lieutenant Silver Guillermo. So like my dad, guerrilla then. Lucky actually quit law school, huh? But he excelled behind the camera as a cinematographer, art director, and in production design. And that gave him a famous recognition for Zuma, the movie. In 2002, he eventually refocused to documentary films and publishing books on World War II history.
I am really honored to be joining activists who excel in arts. That includes you. Because actually, in 73, when martial law was declared, I was already in the third year, second semester ng law. And there's a saying na kapag natapos mo yung third year, parang nakatapos ka na ng bar, hindi ba?
Yes, I heard that from my dad.
Yeah, anyway, sa Mindiola kasi, San Beda, sa Mindiola, pag naririnig mo na yung mga sigaw-sigawan, tatakbo na kami doon sa Mindiola. And then we joined the fray. And then, Carol, you're right. We quit law school and there were 5 of us na nag-quit. Kasi sabi ng isang kaibigan ko, there's no more law outside. There's no more point in taking up law. So anong gagawin natin? So we organize ourselves to create a corporation, a production company called Red Lions Production. And our first movie in 1974 was Enora Honor Starer. So gumagawa talaga kami ng mga movies, you know, just to please our parents na gago ka, dapat nag-abogado ka na. Hindi, mas maganda dito. Anyway, that's the story of how I started with that and I'm really glad I'm with you guys. Aktivista rin ako dati.
Hanggang ngayon din naman eh.
Anyway, etong Manila 1945, dalawa yung ginawa namin. The first one was The Forgotten Atrocities. And then the second one is Manila 1945, the rest of the story. If I may, eto lang parang matapos na kasi tigwa 1 minute lang yung teaser eh.
I want to play this quickly para, you know, you can voice over if you want, okay?
Okay. Go.
Yeah.
Manila has just been bombed. Right now is a speed bomb.
Here you had people from every walk of life involved in defeating an invading country, and they had fought on irrespective of the terrible reprisals that were made on them and on Filipinos in general.
We wouldn't have the freedom or the liberty that we enjoy now if it weren't for those heroes during the war.
Ang digmaan ang makakapagpalabas ng una ng pinakamasama na hayop sa tao, ng pinakamasama yung pwedeng gawin. Pangalawa, ang digmaan ay pwedeng makapagpalabas ng pinakamabuti, pinakamaganda, malahakil ng mga katangian ng tao. Ngayon, kailangan mo lang mamili. Doon ka ba sa masama o doon ka ba sa mabuti? Doon ka ba sa mag-aalaga sa kababayan mo o sa magtatanggol sa bayan mo? At kung mangyari yun, saan ka?
It was not the fight for Britain or Galantino. It was just the historical occurrence. War brings out the best and the worst in people.
Available ba yan the rest of the movie online?
Yes, it is already in Vimeo.
Okay.
And you can just click on Spiron AV Manila and then order it.
Oh, okay. I see. All right. So, guys, from here, you will have access kasi YouTube ni Lucky ito eh. Yeah. Tapos itong isa, ito yung Valor.
Yeah, that's another one minute teaser lang yan.
Unsurrendered. Alam mo, remember, nabili ko lahat yung film na to. I
Oo nga, kaya,
got 4 of them eh. Kinuha ko lahat eh. Tuwa ako eh.
Came out with a statement. Bawat Hapon na mamatay, 10 Pilipino ang papatay. Sinagot niya ganito. Sa bawat Pilipino na mamatay, may na Hapon. 100 Hapon ang papatay ko. Under surrogacy became much admired by the people.
Bawat lalaki sa bundado, kumampitin sa kanya. We are talking about estudyante ng mga tao, 18 years old, makumpisang nila. Lumalaban sa mga diktahanong sundalo.
The selected few fought is nothing but this. Today, of course, the most important factor there, the fighting spirit. The desire to free oneself for
His concern was always, paano na ang veterano? He had this firm belief na ito mga bayani, and hindi dapat pabayaan. Alam talagang taong veterano na ang every veteran mag-a-identify sa kanya.
Don't us never forget the dignity of the Filipino fighters who sacrificed their lives. He was a very brave man who fought for the veterans' rights. And that is his legacy. It shows what one Filipino can do to love his country and to love his people. Una, talino. Pangalawa, tapak. Pangatlo, paglilingkod. Ang tatlong katangian na ito, pwede mo siyang isuma sa isang konsepto. At ito yung pagitilan. Balon.
Wow. Naalala ko, daddy ko. He just graduated law school nang pumutok yung gera panasang panahon ng Hapon. Wow. And ano tong isa, World War II. Pwede bang i-play natin to?
My personal experience in this is what my father told me.
Egypt has been washed. The Japanese bombed Manila even after it was proclaimed an open city. That's when the war began. Alam na namin kung sinong kalaban namin. They swore that they wouldn't take arms against the Japanese, and yet nearly all of them did.
And then he said, bakit ako susurrender? Kalaban ko yan. Why don't we do something for the country?
Nagsama-sama na kami. We were still students.
These are like first year college students, di ba?
The first batch was about 70 to 80 young boys with suitcases going up to the hills, some with canned goods.
But what they were really armed with was guts. What they wanted to do was fight the Japanese. What are the
They were already hitting, ambushing, and killing the Japanese.
Yung mga Filipinos realize, hey, the Japanese can be beaten.
The Japanese can be killed after all. I have always been in awe of what Hunter's ROTC guerrillas did.
Let us accept na karoon ng tayo na victims sa Pilipino. But there was also a time na yung mga Filipinos were not victims. They took hold of their own fate and they won.
This is my country.
Ganda. Available yan online ha, friends. Actually, swerte ko lang nakuha ko sa'yo lahat ng kopya. One of each, and so I watched that. But what I want to tell everyone, Lucky, tell them kung bakit yung ROTC. Alam mo, sa'yo ko lang nalaman yun eh, during the awarding ng Guerrilla, where my dad was got the honors, and you were talking about this. Bakit sila hindi kasama sa award? And it's the age concept. Can you elaborate yung kwentuhan natin doon?
Yeah, first of all, ang ROTC was the bulwark of membership, no? Yung mga PMA ko kunti lang, pero ang ROTC cadets were younger than the PMA ones. So when they converge in UST, kasi dun sila sasakay ng mga truck papuntang Bataan, pinagsisipa sila. Uy, huwag kayong sasama, mga bata pa kayo. So anyway, the relevance of that is gumawa kami ng pelikula just to excite the younger or the youth, the students in schools and universities na kailangan din talaga. Kahit na bata ka, you have something to contribute. So that's the very essence why we came up with a story like this. And I really thank the few, wala na, dead na sila lahat. Yung mga ROTC, mga PMAers, wala na. Only the books and the DVDs are available now.
I will be talking briefly on behalf of the producer of this film, Lingua Franca, Jet Tolentino, who is also a multi-awarded Grammy Award-winning producer.
Siya pa ba si Jet?
He actually had left for another prior commitment early on.
Okay.
So, but he was part of the first hour. But anyhow, he has the vision of really putting in the map of production, especially in film, the Filipino artistry. And I think I had the opportunity to be one of the producers for this film that was written, directed, acted, and also edited by a Filipina who is a trans woman, a very first in the history, and that is by Miss Sandoval. And she was able to have this film premiered at the Venice International Film Festival last year. And I think as Carol is continuing to share the film, I will just simply be talking more about how this artistic film was more of an introspective and a silent understudy of the personal experience of the character. Especially so made during the time of the election of Trump in 2016.
Pinuhuli nila yung no? I saw
Yes.
that in the film, that they were arresting mga undocumented. So what happened here is this one garnered a lot of awards too, no? Kasi it tackled two things about the LGBTQ issue, she being a trans woman, and the undocumented worker. But let's see a quick teaser of this, Ihawa ko sa iyong paghikat kasi laob sa kalibutan.
Good to see you, Bob.
It's good to see you, my brother.
Need help with that?
Okay. I'm sending this to my family back home.
If you want, I can check the post office. Your boyfriend.
He's not my boyfriend.
You're safe now. You're here with me.
You don't know what you're talking about. That man, I was paying him to marry me for a green card.
Gorgeous. I need to tell you something. It doesn't matter to me.
sa iyong pag-ikat. Kalugod na ako sa kailangan.
So it's still available in Netflix right now, correct?
It actually started to stream at Netflix in North America on August 26th. And for our film goers in the Philippines, this has been picked up by TBA Studios that will start on November the 6th. So we hope to invite our kababayans to also support this film. By the way, the North American distributor was actually through Array by Ava DuVernay, who is the person behind important American films like Selma. So I think we're very glad that they were part of this because they really represent those underrepresented filmmakers to have a voice in mainstream American filmmaking.
It was partly Cebuano, right? Kasi pinanood ko yan eh. Partly Cebuano yata yung, it was partly Cebuano, this film, Lingua Franca.
Yes, I think that's the ethnic background of the character. And there's a lot of, Filipino overlays in there and how, similar issues are being addressed and experienced, especially in New York, because this was filmed in Brooklyn and also in Canarsie, which is also part of Brooklyn, and some parts of Atlantic City.
Yeah, so when I saw that film, that resonates with a lot of stories here of trying to get married for a green card, right? And these are the undocumented workers, and twofold. And the other part is they don't know na ano pala siya. It's a trans. So it's a very interesting film. So please catch it at Netflix. And now I don't think Dita is available. I want to bring our Lumban weaver. Is he here?
I think I actually am seeing one of our fashion designers, Ulysses King, that's really working with our Lumban bordaderos and weavers through Marivic Cordeves of La Borda de Filipina. So
good.
Maybe I would be having the honor to introduce our feature designer and a friend. He's one of the most celebrated fashion designers in Manila. What is also interesting is that aside from his certificate in fashion merchandising at the University of the Arts, London College of Fashion in the UK, he has a master's degree in business administration and has also worked actively currently as an accountant. And he has been invited to lecture on fashion accounting and entrepreneurship at the Asia Pacific University in Beppu, Japan, and has created a line for SM Group and has been an influencer for Converse Philippines. In addition, he was selected as one of the 100 hottest Filipino designers around the globe by the Illustrado magazine. As he celebrates his decade in fashion, King highlights his bespoke line specializing in customized suits and tuxedos, the classic contemporary Philippine formal wear, more popularly known as the Barong Tagalog and the Philippine Terno, advocating the use of Philippine-produced materials and artisanal embroidery. And for tonight, he is showcasing his collaboration with Lumban Bordaderos, as I mentioned earlier, with one of its cooperative led by Marivic Cordeves of La Borda de Filipina. So a pleasure for you to present Mr. King and Marivic Cordeves.
Good evening, and it must be a late evening for you, but it's a fine morning in Manila. Just for most of my designs, especially if those are actually with embroidery, I actually have like an exclusive collaboration with the La Borda de Filipina in Lumban, Laguna, which is headed by Marivic Cordeves. This is my modern take of the classic Ibong Adarna.
Ganda!
All right, so These are natural colors of the thread. And the background, of course, is the natural piña fiber. And the different techniques of lumban are actually applied here, ranging from decalado, of course, the most popular one. We have the sombra techniques.
Tell us more about the sombra technique, Yuli.
Hindi ko pa alam yun.
The sombra is like, it's in English, it's called shadow. So it's a reverse kind of hand stitching.
Mano-mano talaga to, no?
It's mano-mano talaga. And the finished product would be like, it's like a shadow.
Oh, what's really funny, no? Because I took this curator's course. Itong pandemic, may libre sa Harvard EDX, edx.org. Friends, you go to edx.org. So many free courses. So I got one from Harvard. And because this is virtual, they showed us the museum in Harvard where one of the museums is showing a Filipino dress made of pineapple.
So this one is really mano-mano. Of course, the lumban the embroiderer of lumban, they actually get rid of the computerized ones. They are still advocating the hand stitching, the classic hand stitching, which I really like and support. All done traditionally.
Yeah, that's the traditional.
Right.
Yeah.
In the traditional hand stitching, you would still see some imperfections on it. But for me as a designer, I don't mind. And in fact, it's okay with me because that's part of the charm of the hand stitching.
I think that is also in some way when Yuli is creating this hand artisanal work, that we are also supporting the livelihood of our bordaderos there.
Right, especially during this time of pandemic that, we know that most of the activities there are not active anymore. So in my own little way, I make some designs.
Sa US, you bring something like this, tapos gagawin natin under Eagle Charities, magtuturo tayo magburda.
Yeah.
Bring some bastidor like that and we're gonna teach people how to burda.
We will teach them how to do the calado.
The burda it's herself, so we can bring her here and Yuli as part of our initiative sometime in July or October.
I'm very impressed with the people of Lumban, especially on making the calado.
So ito yung finished products. Ayan. Ganda.
Yeah. So this one is Rosal inspired. My inspiration are actually supporting the Philippine flowers.
Ito yun.
That one, it's Rosal inspired.
Okay.
If you do a fashion show here, may market itong kalado dito.
That's good.
Yeah. May market yan.
You know why is it called calado? Because the fibers are pulled out from the fabrics just to reduce the fiber count. And then the remaining intact fibers are then stitched together into a variety of open thread work patterns. So those open thread patterns could be like cadena or sampaguita style or solohia. So those are the kinds of calado. Pero ang hirap niyang gawin, and it's done by hand.
Because you're practically looking at the thread count one by one.
Yeah. While you're there, I want you also to comment kasi wala si Dita, no? Ito naman sa mga mangyan ito. Pero similarly, ayan, no, may konting, meron din silang, ayan, iba naman yung kanila, no? Ethnic na ethnic. Ito, this is my mangyan people. Ayan si Tita. Ang workers naman niya doon galing sa amin. Kabaleng ko yan eh. Pero
I see.
Yeah, pero ang workers niya, nakakuha siya ng mga yan. Yan, she is wearing this traditional Mangyan shirt. Yung akin, black. Yung kanya, white. Pero may similarity, di ba? Ayan.
Right, and I think it's more on the production of the fiber itself, no, yung with dita.
Mhm. So, as everybody knows, pag you mentioned Dita, you're talking about her banana fiber, which is very popular in New York. I got it in different colors for the simple reason that you simply fold it and you can wear it. It's so easy, and yeah, like I'm wearing one now, and just quickly, we don't have to finish this, just to show you, it's just a piece of one long item, and yan ang super saleable dito sa New York. Kasi imagine,
Beautiful.
you roll it, you pack it, and then when you're attending a party, you can just fashion it the way you want it, Ang dami-daming style. O, ganyan. So, this is one of the things that, nako, natutunan kong gawin yan, yung roses na yan. So, let me, ayan. Okay, so we're about done with the program for today. We are matching your donations. We're trying to help these people of the Mindanao IP youth. Because, in Mindanao,
That's so
pag hindi sila nag-aral, sumasama sila sa CPP-NDF. Alright? At naiiba yung buhay nila. But for tonight, thank you so much. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.